Hello friends and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky and today I want to give you 5 reasons that liberals should be preppers. 5 reasons that liberals belong in the emergency preparedness community. If you're new here, I want to say a great big welcome. Glad you found my slice of the internet. I hope you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of my fear-free emergency preparedness and sustainable living content. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm so glad you're still part of this community and that we are growing, spreading a fear-free emergency preparedness message. You guys, I am almost at 1,500 subscribers, and when I get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do a huge Q&A. I'm gonna celebrate with doing a massive Q&A. You can ask me any question. I'll do my best to answer them honestly. So once we get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do a big Q&A. Tell your friends, share this in your groups, give this information to folks you think would benefit from a progressive prepping viewpoint. I'd love to reach more people and to continue to build this community. I'm really excited with what we're doing and what is to come over the next several weeks and months. So why should liberals be preppers, and why do liberals belong in the emergency preparedness community? This is a question that I've been asking for years, and people have been asking me for years. And I thought that since there's so many progressives who are now coming into the preparedness community, realizing that there's a lot of people here who aren't just conspiracy nut jobs, I want to give you some good reasons why you belong, why you have a place here if you identify as a liberal, a leftist, or progressive. So let's get into it. So the first issue is that while liberals or progressives do believe that big government has a place in securing and supporting the community with things like community collective water, roads, and emergency preparedness, right? That they should be responding to emergencies as a function of government, that our pooled money and resources absolutely allows us to do more with that funding. We recognize that the government can be really ineffective and that it has a track record of being ineffective for a host of reasons that we're not going to get into in this video. Because we know that the government can be ineffective and likely will be ineffective, we understand as liberal preppers, it's our job to be prepared for those emergencies where the government can't provide for everyone. There are always going to be people who have legitimate reasons that they can't provide for themselves, particularly the mentally or physically disabled, those who have come from extreme poverty and have not had the ability to accumulate wealth that can insulate them from problems and hiccups in life. Additionally, as we kind of tailspin into far-right fascism, we have to be prepared that the government isn't going to be for us. The government is only going to be for a tiny minority of people, and that it could become a more oppressive force than it already is. So as liberal preppers, we need to be prepared to respond to emergencies anyway, because we want to make sure that emergency resources that the government may have can go to those who are already on the margins. Additionally, we want to be prepared to take care of ourselves in the event of true fascism taking over the United States or whatever country you happen to be in. In the event that there is some kind of disaster, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made catastrophe, we want to know that basic essentials are taken care of. And that is for everybody, regardless of political affiliation. You got your basics covered, you can lead with calm and confidence in any crisis. This is sort of my tagline. A liberal prepper can do that. Even as we agree that the government should have plans in place to take care of its citizens, we are taxpayers and the government should provide some things to us because of our taxes. They are government by and for the people, after all. We also know that they're inefficient, so we plan accordingly. Being a liberal prepper means being a liberal or a progressive. And when we talk about that, we mean we want our community to progress towards a more inclusive, equitable, and diverse community, okay? Community matters. This also means that liberation for yourself and your family isn't enough. If I'm free but my neighbor isn't, I'm not truly free, right? And so we want to liberate everyone from the bondages of inequality and oppression. That's a part of progressive politics at the macro scale. It may not play out in the micro scale. Obviously, there are tons of problems with progressives, but that is one of the ideals that progressives hold. We are progressing towards a future that is more inclusive, that is less rigid, and has more fluidity for the majority of people, that is more equitable. We are progressing away from a traditional society that is unequitable, okay, that is unequal. This means that as you join the emergency preparedness community as a progressive or a liberal, you are going to think about your community. Unlike a lot of the teachings you're going to get from other preppers on the internet, liberal preppers are going to focus on making sure some of their preps are for their community, for and with their community. Now, we don't want any white saviorism. You're going to come in and save your community. You're going to work with and for your community to be better prepared for emergencies. That means you got to know your neighbors and you got to know your community and you have to know what their needs are going to be. And you got to work together collectively be pooling your resources, your talents, and your skills in order to be more prepared for any kind of emergency. This is what makes a progressive or a liberal prepper different than a conservative traditionalist prepper. We want communities to thrive, and we want them to be diverse. We want people to be liberated, regardless of whether or not their lifestyles align with our personal values. Someone can have a lifestyle very different. I want them to be free. But if their lifestyle oppresses someone else, well, that's a problem, which is sort of the loggerhead that we're seeing in American politics. The point for liberal preppers is community matters. And all of our prepping, while we might start with our individual homes and families, it's going to bleed out to be community oriented. So this is going to be a difference, but it's also going to be an asset that we have as liberal preppers that some of the more traditionalist preppers don't have. So point 2 really rolls right into point 3, and that is liberal preppers are never truly going to be lone wolves. Lone wolf prepping is a traditionalist mindset. Me and mine, rugged individualism, screw everyone else as long as I'm okay. That's not a liberal prepper mindset. Why? Because community matters and liberation for everyone matters, not just my people. We have responsibility to each other and for one another. Now, I want to quickly say it doesn't take away personal agency. Again, I'm not here to be a white savior, but I am here to recognize there are a lot of people who do not have extra income to prep because of oppressive systems. If you don't have access to a living wage, how are you supposed to have access to preps? If you don't have access to clean water in your own community, how are you going to store water for an emergency? These are serious issues, and if we can't address them as a community, we're not going to make a lot of progress. We have to think about our communities as we prep, and community is an essential mindset as well as practical application part of a liberal prepper's lifestyle and preparedness plan. Remember, your community is going to offer you so many skills and experiences that you could never possibly acquire on your own. That diversity of life skills is going to serve you. You may have in your community a brain surgeon and a car mechanic. You may have someone who knows how to patch power lines and someone who knows how to patch bullet wounds. You may have veterans who have seen major combat and who know how to secure your neighborhood, as well as preschool teachers who know how to keep children calm in a crisis. You never know what skills someone's going to bring, what life experiences they have to offer. So the more you can focus on building good, strong community networks, the better resourced you are going to be. The fourth area that makes liberal preppers different than traditional preppers is going to be around climate change. Liberal preppers take climate change very seriously. In fact, that could be a major reason why you have come to this channel and are concerned with emergency preparedness as it is. Aside from civil unrest, which is a definite real issue, the most likely scenario for major catastrophe across the board anywhere in the world is going to be climate change related weather incidents. Scientists are telling us that once in a lifetime storms are now going to be happening basically every 10 years. Imagine a Katrina-like storm every decade. Imagine droughts that are more extreme every single year. Imagine rivers that are not flowing high enough to create hydroelectric power. Anybody who lives along the Colorado River and requires that stream, that river to power their hydroelectric electricity knows how real that is. It's not a 25-year in the future issue. It is a today issue. These global climate change issues are going to impact everyone across the globe, and we are beginning to really feel them here in the United States. And we have a lot of neighbors around the world who will tell us they've already been feeling them. Global climate change is an issue, and if we don't change our lifestyles ahead of time, it is going to kick us in the pants, and we are going to have major, major, major catastrophes, and we're going to have a societal upheaval because we can't live the way we've all been living. A lot of traditionalist preppers are still refusing to accept how important global climate change is and the human aspect of global climate change. There is a lack of wanting to take responsibility for our actions on this particular issue, and this is where liberal preppers can step up and lead. This is where you can lead communities and mutual aid networks dealing with global climate change, dealing with the immediate effects in your community and what's most likely to happen. This is where you can lead by example with a sustainable lifestyle choice, with changing your lifestyle now to be prepared for a future in which a lot of the things that we take for granted today are not going to be available to us, like 24/7 electricity and cheap gas here in the US. Our lifestyles have to change, and liberal preppers can lead the way. Finally, my fifth point is about misinformation. Liberal preppers tend to be people who live in consensus reality where there are facts, and they aren't often led astray by really crazy off the beaten path conspiracies. Not that we can't be, but that doesn't tend to be our MO. Traditionalist preppers buy into conspiracy theories pretty heavily as a group. And so we can lead the way in moving away from a conspiracy, fear-based, clickbait community into a more confident, skills-focused, optimistic community. If you look at prepping right now, if you just Google prepping on YouTube, you are going to see a ton of clickbait little icons. All those thumbnails are going to be alarmists. They're here to make you afraid. They are here to sell you doom and gloom. Why? Well, one, it's how they make money, but two, it's also a part of the conspiracy theory mindset. Everything has to be falling apart in order for you to buy some of these truly outlandish conspiracies, and there are some that just make me the mathematical impossibility of some of these things is, I honestly, it's just amazing that anyone bothers to believe them. But that said, a lot of people do. It does not tend to happen among the more progressive and liberal community because we are a little bit more skeptical, we are a little bit more discerning, and we believe in the consensus reality on the whole. Of course, there are exceptions. Because we're not here to be alarmist and we're not here to be buying into conspiracies, we can actually maintain the power that was abdicated by all the traditionalist preppers who abdicate their power when they believe there's a conspiracy that they cannot stop. When you believe that it is God's will or it is an inevitable outcome of climate change, it gives you permission to do nothing. When you believe that there's a global conspiracy that is creating World War III and doesn't care about anybody else, it gives you permission to do nothing. These mindsets and attitudes that are very prevalent among the traditionalist prepper do not need to be prevalent in the liberal and progressive prepping communities. Those mindsets abdicate power. They actually take power away from the individual. If you say we're going to live in consensus reality, we're going to believe facts, not that we're going to believe everything mainstream media tells us, we're going to be discerning, we're going to do research, real research, not Reddit or QAnon research, but real peer-reviewed research, looking at independent journalists, looking at multiple sources from around the world, right? When we can lead and we can discern and we can operate in facts, it means that we can push against bad narratives, push against conspiracies, and we can come up with meaningful solutions to the problems that are plaguing us. This is a gift of being a liberal prepper. This is a reason why you should be involved in the emergency preparedness community, regardless of your political standpoint, but especially if you are someone who is sick and tired or disinterested in conspiracy theories. We need you. We need you here. We need you operating in a part of a community that is solving problems rather than abdicating responsibility. If this sounds like you, if you're someone with liberal and progressive politics, if you're someone who believes in community liberation, if you're someone who believes in climate change and you want to be prepared for disasters, this is a great place for you to start. We have a ton of resources already posted on this website that you can use to get started in your emergency preparedness journey. If you want a quick kickstart, like if you want to be able to jump in like that, I do have a course. I don't advertise it a lot because I'm bad at selling stuff, but I have a great course that is everything you need to get one entire month of food storage in just a weekend. It's got meal plans, it's got suggestions, it's got calculations, it's videos, it's gonna hold your hand, walk you through everything you need, whether you're a vegetarian or you eat meat, you're an omnivore, everything you need to get an entire month of food storage totally set up and ready to go in just 1 month. If you're interested, I'll have that link down below. You can use it as a jump start. If you're not ready to do that, if you don't have the funds to do that, if you've already got that in place, know that there's a ton of videos, and from these videos, you can create community. We need each other, and we need to lead the emergency preparedness community out of the lone wolf mentality, out of the conspiracy theory trenches, and towards a more broad, liberation-focused preparedness plan. That's what I believe is the gift of liberal preppers. That's what I hope for this liberal prepping community. Y'all comment down below and let me know, what does it mean for you to be a liberal prepper? What would you add to these 5 sort of points of being a liberal prepper? I think if we can build some strong communities, if we can showcase sustainable lifestyles ahead of the catastrophe, if we can be prepared for the catastrophe so we can work with and sometimes against the government that will be coming in to help us, we're going to be better prepared overall. And it won't just be one family that survives, it'll be whole communities that survive, which is the goal, in my opinion. All right, hope you're well, and I will see you in the next video. Happy prepping.